audio problems, getting feedback, you can please set your audio to computer audio. That will let you go directly in, or you can phone in. So that's another option you can go. So that worked well. And the other option is headsets, a lot, and dial in. People dial in on the phone a lot. I got some feedback. I want to do a couple things real quick here. Okay. Questions are an important part of these virtual job fairs. On the upper right-hand side, you'll see the ability to send in questions. We're not sure how many of them we'll get to today, but if not, the folks from Baxter will get back in touch to answer any questions that remain that you may have. You're gonna get a lot of information today. Don't worry, you'll be getting copies of the slide because you're gonna be getting a recording tomorrow about this time with everything we covered today. So look forward to that recording tomorrow at about this time. So, hey, let's get things started. I want to bring in Rob King. Rob is the Executive Director of Work One South Central, Region 8, as we call it at DWD. Rob, good afternoon. And really, it's Rob and his team that make these things happen, and we've done several of these before. Rob, thanks again. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Work One South Central?
Well, thanks, Bob, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Region 8 Virtual Job Fair for Baxter International here in South Central Indiana. As Bob mentioned, I'm Rob King, and I represent the South Central Region 8 Workforce Board and currently serve as Board Director. I would like to start things off by thanking our local business partner, Baxter International, for agreeing to do this job fair, along with our state partners at the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, and of course, our local regional business services team for co-hosting this event with us here in Region 8. Thank you, guys. They do amazing work, and we're definitely glad to be here and to host an event such as this. Before we get started, I would like to share a little background information about the Regional Workforce Board and its role in the community. The South Central Region 8 Workforce Board is a nonprofit board comprised of representatives from the private business sector, the labor sector, education, economic development, and community-based organizations. The Workforce Board serves as a catalyst to promote collaborative relationships between business, education, labor, and service providers to support workforce development efforts and regional economic growth. The board is responsible ultimately for employment and training oversight to the Work One system in Indiana's economic growth Region 8. And it includes, we serve 8 counties, as you can see on your screen, and this includes Brown, Davis, Greene, Lawrence, Martin, Orange, and Owen, and of course Monroe County, which this job fair is promoting job recruitment for the facility in Bloomington for Baxter International. We provide employment and training programs and services in these 8 counties throughout Central Indiana using a variety of state and federal grant resources. These programs and services are delivered through our Work One job centers with a Work One office located in each of the counties mentioned above. We offer a wide array of job search, employment, and training activities and services to get and keep Hoosiers working in South Central Indiana. That's our main function and our main goal, is to keep people employed or get them employed. Additionally, we work with many employers throughout our region, including small, mid-sized businesses, and larger companies such as Baxter International. So once again, welcome to our virtual job fair, and thank you for taking the time to consider applying for employment with a company such as Baxter International. And I hope you enjoy today's job fair.
Well, thanks, Doug, and thanks for all you do. Thanks for you and your whole team down there. You guys do a wonderful job, and we appreciate that, and particularly in these challenging times. And Rob, I want to keep you on just one more second. A lot of job opportunities, a lot of training out there for people, right?
That is correct. As I mentioned, we work with several state and federal grants, and we have several employment and training programs. If you come into one of our Work One job centers, and like I said, we're located in each county. So if you come in here, you can get, and all this, by the way, all these services are free. So if you come in, nothing costs you a dime. We can do career assessments, skills assessments. We can do whatever it takes to try to get you employed in a job you want, not just throw you at any job. The jobs offered here today, for example, at Baxter International, are good, solid, well-paying jobs with a very reputable company. Those are the kinds of, we're kind of like a placement agency, but we don't, we specify where we place you. So we're not just place you in any job we can get you in. So there are many opportunities and a lot of jobs. Even though I know the pandemic has caused a lot of problems throughout this year, there are a lot of opportunities that are arising from the event.
So get to know your work one office.
Absolutely.
In-person meetings are still very possible. You just need to schedule those online, right?
That's true. And currently, due to the pandemic, we recently, about a week or so ago, right before the Thanksgiving holiday, we did, due to an outbreak of COVID, we went back to appointment only. So if you go online, you can get a phone number, and I promise we answer our phones, or we get right back to you, and we can schedule you one-on-one appointments to discuss options, employment and training options available to you. So we are there, we are available, and you can still come in and see a career counselor at our Work One job centers.
Okay, great. Well, with that, once he gets his lighting all set up, Doug Reinhardt. Doug, thanks for leading today's discussion. Good afternoon.
All right. Thank you very much, Bob and Rob, for the introduction. I appreciate this opportunity to work with your organization and to get Baxter's name out in the community even further. And so for everyone who's called in and is attending, thanks for joining.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to do a real quick polling question, okay? This is really for you guys. I know there's no wrong or right answer. We're going to throw the polling question out there. Are you currently employed, yes or no? And again, today's program is for the employed and unemployed. So I'm going to let this go just one more second. And there's the results. Okay, so you can see that. And I'm sorry, right back to you now, Doug.
No problem. Before I dive too far in, just a couple quick housekeeping notes from my end. So I'm presenting from my office right now at Baxter. So this is for me. This is it's a dynamic and live manufacturing environment. There's always a possibility of some intercom paging system activity overhead at any moment. So if that happens, I'll just pause and let that pass before I begin again. So apologies for any interruptions beforehand. So a little about me real quick. Again, my name is Doug Reinhardt. I'm an operations manager here at Baxter. I've been an operations manager for about 5 years. I've worked in operations at our site for the last 13 years. In total, I'm about 18 years of experience, all in manufacturing in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked for another large name pharma company for about 6 years, 5-6 years before I started here at Baxter. So I'm excited to share as much information as I possibly can about our site with this group today, our site here in Bloomington. We're currently in the middle of a $50 million investment at our facility. So there have been a few publications recently posted about this, so it's a very exciting time for our site. We have some new buildings being erected. We have some buildings being refurbished, and we have multiple pieces of new equipment and machinery that are being installed and qualified. So, like I said, a very, very exciting time for our company. The reason for that is because our business is growing and our demand is increasing. So we're looking to grow headcount for both hourly and salary level positions. So I'm going to review some of that today, and like I said, tell you as much as I can about our site. So next slide, please. So a little bit about our mission. It's a very simple statement, right? It's to save and sustain lives. Our company prides itself greatly in the quality of the products we make. They are either life-saving or life-sustaining, and we supply medications across the globe. That's one of the things I enjoy most about working at Baxter. It feels very local, a very small environment, but to know that we have an outreach across the globe is it's a pretty special thing to say, and it's a great reason to come to work. So just wanted to share our mission statement with you all. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our business model. A lot of people don't know this about our Bloomington site, but we are actually in contract manufacturing. So what that means is that Baxter is contracted by other pharmaceutical companies. So we make products over 95% of the products we make right now are for other pharmaceutical companies. Now, there's various reasons why this business model exists. One of them being because producing pharmaceutical products is not easy to do. So not everyone has the capability to do it. They may not have their own a company may not have their own manufacturing site. It may be a small startup organization with a limited number of employees or research and development scientists who produce the drug, and then they need a company like us to manufacture it for them. It could also be we could be in contract with another very large pharmaceutical company who needs us as either a backup supplier or to help with additional volume for one of their products. So that's our business model, is contract manufacturing. So right now, currently, we manufacture for 11 of the top 20 pharma companies in the world. We also manufacture for over 50 different clients. So I always, to try to make this understandable for folks, there's a lot of confidentiality that we have to maintain here because of the nature of our business. But if you see a commercial on television for a pharmaceutical product, there's a reasonable chance that we may work directly with one of those large companies producing those types of medicines. Next slide, please. So if you're familiar with Bloomington, this is just kind of a general map of our location. We are directly on the west side of Bloomington, not far off of the new Interstate 69 there. So near the crossing of West 3rd Street and Curry Pike, we have our main Phil Complex campus, which is in the bottom right-hand corner. We have some off-site warehouses labeled as T2 and T3 in this picture, and then our packaging facility, which is labeled as G. If you're familiar with where Ivy Tech is located in Bloomington, it's about a block. Our packaging facility it's on the same road. It's about a block away from the Ivy Tech facility. So all of our operations are within about a mile of each other. You'll see if you're ever on this side of town, you'll see a lot of Baxter trucks driving back and forth between these locations, hauling goods that are either finished or in process. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit more about exactly what we make here, and that is parenteral pharmaceuticals. And what that means is we make injectable products here. So pharmaceutical companies make a lot of different types of medication. People are most familiar with solid dose or pills that you might receive from a pharmacy or buy at a local store. But what we make are injectable pharmaceuticals. So some of the most difficult to make based on needing to be done in a very sterile environment. But you can see the different type of containers that we use. Vials, which you may have seen before at a doctor's office or at a hospital. Same with syringes. And then not quite as common in the bottom right-hand corner there are cartridges. So all primarily made from glass, and then using rubber stopper enclosures to help seal that and make an integral product. So these are the main types of containers we utilize. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to review primarily our manufacturing process over the next handful of slides. Now we are, as I mentioned earlier, we are hiring a number of hourly operations level positions, and we are also hiring salary professional level positions. At the end of the day, everyone, whether you're an hourly employee or a salaried professional employee, everyone supports manufacturing at this site. That's what we are as a manufacturing site. So I'm going to go into a little bit of depth here and discuss exactly what it is that we do. Our manufacturing process, it's basically done by converting components such as water, an active pharmaceutical ingredient, and some other what we'll call ingredients or excipients to formulate a product, and then we fill that product into the containers as I showed on the previous slide. Our manufacturing area is made up of 4 primary departments. And I'll go through each of these in detail. They're preparation, formulation, filling, and lyophilization, and then finally our capping department. Next slide, please. So the first department is preparation, and they are basically responsible for cleaning all the equipment that we use. They do a lot of assembly, so they will reference drawings, and they will assemble equipment, and then they make sure that equipment is sterilized prior to use. So to simplify this, most everyone has gone to the dentist before, and you'll see the dentist, or one of the assistants, they'll get some tools or instruments that they're getting ready to place inside your mouth, and you might think, well, I sure hope that those are clean and sterile before they use those as they're operating on me. Those materials have been placed through what we call a steam autoclave. So we use clean steam to basically sterilize the equipment prior to use. On our scale, we do it in a much larger environment. So a dentist's office might use a steam autoclave, not much larger than a shoebox. Whereas the autoclaves that we use, as you can see in this picture, almost a small vehicle can sit inside it. So much larger scale. And before we utilize any of our equipment for manufacturing, we have to run it through that sterilization cycle to make sure it is free of anything harmful or any type of bioburden. The preparation, and that's one of the main things the preparation department is responsible for. They also run the equipment that sterilizes the vials, so the actual glass containers that we use to fill the product in. And they prepare some of the components for use as well, making sure that they are correct components and sterile prior to use. These pictures just kind of show examples of what the working environment looks like and some of the small equipment that's utilized. Next slide, please. The next department is formulation. So if you can think of it this way, when you're baking something at home, maybe baking a cake or following a recipe at home, very similar to what formulation does when they are producing the batch that we are going to fill. So they will take water and all these ingredients, and they'll follow a recipe, weighing out precise amounts of each of these ingredients, and they'll put it in. There are some tanks pictured here as examples. This material would be placed into a tank. It'd be mixed for a certain duration at a certain speed, and even some of the products require temperature control, where we have to heat or cool the tank in order to protect the product itself. Formulation also does a small amount of analytical testing. They may do things like test the pH of the product itself, and then ultimately they are responsible for initiating sterile filtration. And that is when we take the product that they formulate, the batch, which is always a liquid volume of product in one of these vessels, and they have to transfer that to our filling department, which I'll cover in the next slides. So filling is basically the most important part of our process. This is where we take the formulated product that we've put together, that we've compounded, and we're running it through a machine and into the individual containers that I spoke of earlier, the vials, the syringes, or the cartridges. So the responsibility of a filling operator is to set up this type of equipment, as you can see in the picture here. The bottom left corner, you can actually see some tubing going to some what we call filling needles, and the product would be dispensed through these needles into the vials. There's a row of vials on a conveyor right there. The lower right-hand picture shows some of the stopper enclosures that we use to once the product is in the container, we use that to seal the container. And the picture on the top right just kind of shows what a larger a view of the line might look like. So this is our most critical zone. Filling is our most critical zone, and that's because that's where just for a brief moment, it's where the product is exposed before it's put into its final configuration, into its final container. So the cleanliness of this area is of utmost importance. I always describe this to folks as, if you think, what's one of the cleanest places you might think of? And a lot of people will say, well, that would be a hospital operating room is probably one of the cleanest places I can imagine. Our filling rooms are far more cleaner than a hospital operating room. We have to ensure that there's zero chance of contamination getting into these products, because ultimately they are injected directly into the bloodstream of our patients. So we just can't risk any contamination. So the folks who work in this area, they're highly trained. We train them here at our site. It's not something you have to know beforehand. It's an extensive training program, and when they're working in this area, you'll see some pictures in future slides about the different type of protective equipment that they have to wear in this area. Next slide, please. And lastly is our capping department. And so after the product is filled on the filling line, it's basically conveyed to another area in our production area that's known as capping. And capping receives this product from filling, and they'll basically put it into a transportable configuration, whether it be a tray or a tub. But they have to collect because some of these machines will run at hundreds of units per minute. So they collect all these finished products. They do a brief inspection for defects, because if by chance there were any defects produced, we want to stop and fix that issue, notify filling. They also do some in-process testing, like I described with formulation. And lastly, they do a lot of counting because we have to keep precise control of how many actual units we make. So they do counting, and then they prepare these products for transfer and future processing. So that's the brief explanation of our 4 departments in the fill complex. Next slide, please. Lyophilization. I'll just do a quick note on this. You may have heard of freeze drying before, and that is basically a process where we will fill one of these vials, or hundreds of these vials actually, with a liquid medicine or a liquid product, and we place it into a machine to complete what we call a lyophilization cycle. That cycle removes some of the water from the product and leaves it in a dry state. You can see in this picture, it looks kind of like a white solid. It's often referred to as a lyo cake or a lyo puck. Not all products can be lyophilized, but some are, and it typically is done to improve shelf life of the product. Now, before use, this product would be, a doctor or clinician or nurse would take sterile water and with a syringe and inject it inside this vial and mix what we call reconstitute the lyophilized product back into a liquid directly before administration to a patient. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the next 2 slides I want to review are about our gowning practices, and these are very important because a lot of people will start here or start at any pharmaceutical company and really not understand the requirements of gowning before they step foot in the door. So we have various different levels of gowning. The further you go into our manufacturing area, the more restrictions we have on gowning. So as you can imagine, the filling process, our most critical zone, requires the most strenuous gowning. the picture shown here is what we call our grade C or grade D gowning, and this is our low classification gowning. So for our operators who work in formulation, preparation, and capping, they wear the gowning requirements that you see on this picture. Pretty comfortable stuff, to be honest with you. Shoe covers, gloves, hairnet, beard cover if required, and then a pair of coveralls. It's very lightweight stuff, and we change it upon every entry and exit into this area. But this is what an operator commonly looks like in our production area on a daily basis. Next slide, please. And this is what a filling operator looks like. So we talked about it's a little more strenuous, right? As the slide says, they play an extremely crucial role. They're really the last point of contact before the product is dispensed into the containers. So their gowning has to be done correctly. You can see they have zero percentage of their skin exposed. They are completely covered. 2 pairs of gloves, the boots, the coverall, a face mask, a hood, and goggles. Because we cannot risk any chance of any skin or anything like that. People actually shed, and we can't have any chance of that coming out in our filling production area. So to influence that a little further is what we call aseptic behavior. So when these team members are working inside this environment, we encourage them to have very slow movements within the filling suite. They typically do not sit down for long periods of time. Like I said, slow movements, slow hand gestures. They often sanitize their gloved hands with an alcohol solution. All these things done to maintain that sterile environment. We actually we do some form of microbiology monitoring. We call it personnel monitoring, where we take agar plates and we test their fingertips and certain areas of their gown to make sure that there's no growth or anything like that once a day when they're in this area. So it's a little, like I said, it's a little more strenuous gowning, but again, we have at this time roughly 40 or 50 people who do this every day, and they're some of our very best, some of the experts at our facility. Next slide, please. All right, before I go into inspection, label, and packaging, feel free if anyone has any questions to interrupt at any time. Our inspection, labeling, packaging process is basically our secondary packaging. So I've spoken about the fill complex and where we produce the medicine from scratch. Now, before we finish the process, it has to go through our packaging facility, which is down, like I said, near Ivy Tech. This facility is responsible for inspecting it, the product, labeling it, and packaging. Next slide, please. So 100% of the products that we make here, they go through either a manual or an automated inspection. So a manual inspection, as you can see in the top picture, we have some employees who, one vial at a time or one vial or syringe at a time, will inspect in a lighted booth for various types of defects. It could be a damage to the container. It could be any particulate contamination, a broken container, a damaged seal. There's a number of criteria that they have to inspect for. So that is typically done manually for our smaller batch sizes. For larger batch sizes, we use the automated inspection, which is there's a machine pictured in the bottom, or the bottom picture here, where it uses high-speed cameras to perform the same function, to inspect for all the same defect criteria, just at a rate of closer to 200 or 300 containers a minute it is able to inspect. So for our larger batch sizes, just to give some quick scale, we produce batches anywhere from 1,500 units all the way up to just north of 500,000 units for for scale. Next slide, please. So we have several different options for how we pack out the products, and it really depends on what our clients requires. Some of our clients just want us to do the inspection and then send us the inspected product where they might complete final packaging at their facility or another contracted packaging facility. Other clients want us to do the inspection, do all the labeling and all the final packaging to a point where it is could be put in a blister. It has all the literature or documentation needed, labeled with batch numbers, including and placed inside cartons that have the company's name on them, and all the way till final packaging, to the point where it could be sent out to a distribution center, straight to a doctor's office or hospital for use. So we do both types of packaging here at this facility, whether it be what we call bulk packaging or final packaging. Similar to manual inspection, we have low-speed and high-speed operations based on batch size. Next slide, please. So I've spoken a lot about our manufacturing process so far, but it can't be understated that it takes way more than just the manufacturing department to get this done. So I've listed here a number of different departments at our facility: quality assurance, maintenance, facilities, warehouse, technical services, microbiology, quality control, sterility assurance, program management. Program management is the group of people who actively engage and work with our clients. Engineering, supply chain, regulatory affairs, research and development. So these are just to name a few. So as we move on in the presentation to some of the jobs that we currently have open, describe some of those. Keep in mind they are not all for manufacturing. They are for some of these other supporting departments as well. Next slide, please. So we'll try a quick video here. Hopefully we have success. If not, we'll move on to the next slide.
An industry leader of singular focus. Biopharma Solutions, a business unit of Baxter. CMO with a focus on injectable pharmaceuticals. Baxter experience in biopharmaceutical needs with a broad portfolio of sterile fill finish production capabilities. Our reputation is built on the high-quality products we manufacture for our clients in a CGMP environment. From formulation and development through commercial launch, our extensive customized support services can help guide you through marketplace complexity so you can achieve the full potential for your drug molecule. Parenteral therapeutics pose a variety of scientific and technical challenges, including reformulation, stability, chemical degradation, compatibility, leachables and extractables, and precipitation. We can help you address these challenges to achieve commercialization and market differentiation. Baxter Biopharma Solutions state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities are located in Halle, Westfalen, Germany, Round Lake, Illinois, USA, and Bloomington, Indiana, USA. Baxter Biopharma Solutions' award-winning Bloomington facility is a leader in sterile contract manufacturing. 600,000 square foot campus offers flexibility, manufacturing injectable pharmaceuticals in cartridges, prefilled syringes, and vials, from clinical development through commercial launch. We can help meet your production needs for both liquid and lyophilized vial filling. Our aseptic vial production includes grade A environments for formulation and filling, and 100% non-destructive weight checking to help optimize your product. As a global contract manufacturing leader in pre-filled syringe filling, our Bloomington facility delivers innovative solutions for a broad range of drug molecules. 3 high-speed syringe filling lines operate in 3 separate buildings, creating a built-in risk mitigation strategy to help ensure product availability. Conserve valuable API and improve your yield with our state-of-the-art sensor time pressure system for cartridge filling. The 100% sensor feedback reduces product waste to help improve yield. In our on-site Lyophilization Center of Excellence, Baxter's team of scientists can offer innovative approaches in formulation, process, and analytical development to maximize the potential of your lyophilized products. Biopharma Solutions is a supplier to global markets, including the United States, Europe, and Japan. Our experience with injectables, combined with a passionate focus on results, can translate into speed to market, reliability, and confidence for our clients. Learn how we can support your injectable outsourcing needs, from clinical through commercial.
All right, thank you. Great. I'm glad we were able to watch that video because it does a lot better job of showing visually what our manufacturing process as compared to me trying to explain it. So I'm glad we got to watch that. So just a little bit about some of the benefits of working for Baxter. Very competitive compensation packages here. I think that's one of the main draws for working in the pharmaceutical industry. Our medical and health coverage plan is one of the best around. We offer employee stock purchase plan. So monthly, as an employee, you can purchase Baxter stock at a 15% of the 50% discount of the current price. We offer a competitive 401k matching program, flexible spending accounts. This is a big one here, Baxter's Educational Assistance Program. Once employed with Baxter, you can use this to continue your education, further your education, where Baxter covers quite a bit of this from a financial standpoint and support, which is very helpful. We have many of our employees who will complete different degrees or while working here at Baxter. We have an on-site credit union, which is very handy. Basically, a bank on-site that employees have access to. Paid holidays and paid time off. So our company regularly pays for about 10 or 11 holidays a year where we take off work, and then also specific amounts of accrued paid time off, which are granted immediately upon hire. And lastly, paid parental leave, which is a very nice feature. So for man or woman, get some time off when blessed with the arrival of a child. And then we also offer an adoption reimbursement program. So just a few key points to some of the great benefits that we offer here. Next slide, please. Okay, the next handful of slides, we're going to go into just a little bit of detail about some of the current positions that we have open at our facility. The operator level positions are listed on this slide. So I talked about capping, preparation, formulation, and filling. So we are expanding our workforce right now rapidly. We're looking to hire immediately, and going into next year with the growth that we're expecting, we have a number of positions available, up to 50 or more full-time positions that we're looking to hire. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see some of the starting pay for different levels. So $15.50 an hour, $17.05 an hour, and I'll say on up depending on if there's any related experience. High school diploma or GED is required for our operations level positions. Related manufacturing experience is preferred but not required. We have a very robust training department here, and we frequently hire folks who have not worked in this industry before, and then we train them appropriately to be successful at our facility. Next slide, please. I should mention those on the previous slide. Those operations positions are primarily on second and third shift. So we operate a 24/7 facility here, and 3 shifts per day. We typically start new hires out on second or third shift, and then using a seniority program, people transfer to shift. They transfer up to first shift based on their time with the company. Thank you. Next slide. We'll go over some of the other supporting positions. So we're currently hiring for maintenance technicians. These would be work for our maintenance and engineering department, who basically are called upon when we have equipment failures or troubleshooting that's required. Again, high school diploma or GED is required, preferably experience with a maintenance background. Starting salary for this job is $52,000 per year. So it is eligible for overtime, as are all our positions, all our hourly paid positions, and currently hiring for second shift on this position right now. On all these slides, I'm listing the starting salaries. Each job has what I'll call a range. So depending on experience, it certainly is quite possible for someone to come in a little higher than the starting salary. Next slide, please. So I spoke briefly about lyophilization, our freeze drying process. We currently have 1 open position on third shift for our lyophilization group. It's a technician's role, starting at $40,000 per year. Again, it's a high school diploma or a GED. Next position. Next slide, please. Now we're getting into a few more of the professional level positions. So this is an entry-level commercial services representative. Works within our technical services department, acquiring a bachelor's degree, starting at $56,000 per year. This job supports manufacturing from a documentation standpoint primarily. They produce the batch records that we use to document our activities on. And then they also work hand in hand with our members of our client teams with communication. This one is hiring for first shift hours. Next slide, please. A senior technical services associate, so same department, just a little higher level position, someone with perhaps a few more years experience. Again, first shift hours, starting salary at $76,000. Next slide, please. Another technical services role, associate, an entry-level position, starting on second shift at $56,000 as an annual salary. Again, bachelor degree required. Providing support for manufacturing. Next slide. Manufacturing Supervisor 2. We have 2 different levels of manufacturing supervisor within the organization. We have a Manufacturing Supervisor 1, which is currently does not require a bachelor's degree. And then we have the Manufacturing Supervisor 2, which requires the bachelor's degree. Very similar type job expectations and requirements, really the difference being based on experience and degree. The starting salary for this position is $72,000. We will also, I should also mention that we will be posting a manufacturing supervisor 1 position very shortly as well. Next position, please. So our quality department, this is an entry-level quality associate 1 position. They're looking to fill this on we have a weekend shift here, so because we run 24/7 facility, we do have a weekend crew that specializes in providing the weekend support, and our quality organization is currently looking for candidates for an entry-level position within quality, starting at $52,000 a year. Quality provides oversight throughout the entire manufacturing process. If for any time that there is a deviation, or if they have to be involved with any decision making for products, we typically partner very closely with quality. Next slide, please. Okay, nearing the end of the presentation, I'll say a few quick notes about employer expectations. So it's a manufacturing facility here in Bloomington, currently over 700 employees, looking to grow that as I stated before. Number one of the most common things we see problems with for folks who are unsuccessful is really just attendance, being able to show up to work when required. So it's definitely one of the requirements and expectations as an employer. We're looking for people with positive attitude, who are very focused, have career goals, and are self-motivated and have initiative. Teamwork and communication are also extremely important to us. We work cross-functionally at this site with all departments, and collaboration is a must. It's required that employees who work here are able to communicate well and get along with their peers in all different departments. And lastly, performance, certainly. We set the guidelines and expectations. We will train you to be able to meet those and give you the tools you need to be successful. Ultimately, it's up to the employee to perform at the expected level, no different than any other job or facility. So just a brief note there on some of our expectations. Next slide, please. So here are some of our contacts listed, and the following slide actually shows a website how to apply. Basically, it's all done online right now. You would go to our website and you can keyword search for specific jobs at specific locations. So when you go to the Baxter website, it will be a global website, but you'll want to search for the Bloomington, Indiana facility and open positions. It's pretty easy to access. And then you would create a simple account to the point where you can attach a resume and apply. Once application is made, our Human Resources Department goes through the screening process, comparing your resume and your previous experience against the required the requirements of the job description. And from there, interviews are basically set up. See if there's a next slide here.
Does that look like that could be it, Doug?
Maybe that could be the last one. Yep. So
okay,
yeah, happy to.
Yeah, we got some questions here. If you got just a few more minutes, we'll try to get things wrapped up by the top of the hour. Let's start out with what is the time frame for filling these positions? Anything on the timeline you can tell us, Doug?
Yeah, so we are actively seeking new employees. We perform interviews weekly, trying to identify new candidates. I can tell you that so we have a number of we are already hiring towards our target headcount for 2021 because we need to get folks in here and get them trained so that they're ready to go. The summertime is actually one of our busiest times of year. We have a few products that run in a campaign type style or a campaign type fashion, and so we want to get folks hired before that, in Q1 next year, in order to get them trained and ready to go.
Doug, can you, kind of on a related note, can you touch just a second on somebody that's interested now on the whole startup and training, somebody that's interested now for open positions? How long does that startup process take?
Yeah, so what I typically see, the process, once identified, so once an interview is complete, it typically takes a couple weeks to go through the background screen, the background check, and then you'll be scheduled for a new hire orientation. New hire orientation is 2 weeks long, and that's where we introduce you to everything, Baxter specific. From the administrative stuff of just becoming a new employee at a company, all the way to here are going to be some of the basic fundamentals or principles about working in this type of environment. Documentation is a very heavy one. We basically document every step we take here because it shows us evidence of performing the activities correctly. So we spent a lot of time reviewing that, and the pictures I showed of the gowning process, we train folks how to gown, they'll pass initial qualifications. Ultimately, new hires they'll be hooked up with their supervisors, their group leaders, a training partner after the first couple weeks, and really kind of set out to the shop floor to work hand in hand with a trained, experienced employee to help bring them up to speed.
Okay, a question that came in here. I'm looking the next couple questions really about advice. One of them, what is the one skill set that will help a candidate stand out as a top performer? Anything that you look for right off the bat from skills?
Well, we're really looking for people who are self-motivated. Working here is a very unique opportunity. I mean, I've always explained to people, if you want to become an expert at something here, you will have that opportunity. Advancement at this company happens very, very frequently and very rapidly for those who are interested in doing so. So with that comes, hard work and dedication, a lot of attention to detail. I would say, from an interview standpoint, you want to be prepared when you go into an interview. Have done a little bit of research about the company, what you can online, or if you know someone who works here, spend some time to talk with them before you go in for an interview. One of the things we notice sometimes when we perform interviews, we get general answers to questions when we're really trying to look for more real world specific answers. So I would encourage someone who's interviewing to try to think ahead a little bit and have some specific detailed answers that they can provide. Super important, be yourself and be honest in your interviews, right? Integrity, you must have integrity to work here based on the type of operations we have. We're making life-saving products that there can be no corners cut here. Everything has to be done correctly so that it's safe for our patients. And then, lastly, like from an interview standpoint, I do a lot of interviewing. Personally, I really enjoy it when people when interview candidates have some questions prepared for the end of the interview. Because after all, an interview works both ways. We're looking to get to know the candidate, and we want the candidate to get to know us and make sure that it's going to be a good fit for them if they're to be offered a job. So the more questions that an interview candidate can bring to the table, the better off they'll be.
Thanks, Doug. I know we do a lot of these, and I certainly want to commend you and your team on the detail that you got into today. That's something that we often are unable to do. But one of those things that you actually talked about and showed was safety and the precautions, the gowns and all that. I would assume safety's always been a top priority there. Anything COVID related that you want to throw in to add? It looks like a very safe and secure environment is a top priority.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. Safety is very important. We take it very seriously at this facility. We have different ways to report any hazards that anyone comes across or sees. We call those risks or near misses, things like that. And certainly from a COVID perspective, like many other companies or workplaces around the world, we've had to take some additional measures this year to protect our employees. So we've done a number of things. We have installed in all our facilities thermal imaging cameras. So your temperature, when you walk through the door, your temperature daily is automatically taken. And it's recorded on the computer screen. You can see what your temperature is. So we know that the employees coming through the door every day, are not feeling ill or having a fever. And then we're required, like many other places, to wear masks right now. We actually hand out surgical masks to all of our employees daily, new masks daily for them to use. And then the social distancing guidelines as well. We've basically restructured all of our conference rooms, all of our cafeterias, break rooms, lunch areas, so that people are adequately spaced apart at those times where they can't wear a mask, when they have to eat or drink. Just really a few examples. We have what we're calling a COVID coordinator on site to answer questions. So if someone's feeling ill, they have a person they can contact, and also what I'll say is an appropriate and very conservative program for those who maybe have symptoms. It's always difficult to say in the current environment, but we very much encourage employees to stay home if they have any type of symptom that could be COVID related until we get that resolved. So after all, we're not exactly a facility. We take this very seriously because we're not a facility who can shut down, because we need the products that we make are supplied across the world for various different illnesses, diseases, and people still need those medications. So we need to be able to have our employees here on site and be safe and healthy.
Great point there. Doug, a question here. What is the difference between Baxter and Catalent?
So we do very similar operations. They are also a contract manufacturing facility. Some similar equipment. It's a very similar business model, to be honest with you. They do. I don't want to speak too much about their business just because I'm not totally familiar with it. I think they do some production of some of the actual materials themselves, the ingredients themselves, whereas we don't. But yeah, it's a very similar business model.
Okay, and can you talk just a second? A couple questions came in on the shift times, second, third shift, and are those the same across the different buildings and the different divisions? Yes,
they are pretty consistent across the buildings. Our first shift hours are from 7 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. Our second shift hours are from 3 in the afternoon until 11:30 at night. And our third shift hours are from 11 at night to 7:30 in the morning. We do offer shift differential pay. So this is in addition to your normal hourly rate. We offer some differential pay on top of that for working the second and third shift hours. We also have a weekend shift that works 36 hours per week, and they also receive an incentive for working that shift.
Okay, I have, it's the top of the hour. I'm going to keep you overtime for a couple more minutes, if that's okay.
That's fine.
What have I applied before? I've got a couple of those that came in. I've applied at Baxter maybe last year or a couple of years ago. If I'm interested now, things have changed. Should I kind of start over?
Yeah, absolutely. Would encourage you to, take a look at your resume and make sure it's updated with the most recent information. Always great idea to include a cover letter, kind of explaining maybe some of your past work history and what you're looking forward to or looking to get into from an employment standpoint, and resubmit, because you know, we don't keep, as far as the history goes, we're not going back months at a time. We try to screen candidates as they come through pretty quickly. So yeah, and it's also possible that someone might want to apply for multiple jobs. So you can't just, if you are interested in multiple jobs, you have to apply to each one of those independently.
Okay. Question here on training programs for people without the real specific experience you're looking for. I know you mentioned high school equivalency in there, but entry-level jobs for what kind of training is available for folks that want to come in, work hard, learn while working?
That's our greatest need right now. I can tell you personally, I hired a number of recent high school graduates within the last 12 months who are doing fantastic at our facility. They go through the training program just like everyone else does, specific to their job, and it's all about the person. You know, if they're hardworking, honest, and are able to get along and collaborate with their team members, it typically turns out very well.
Great. Hey, well, that's a good one to kind of end on. I'm going to bring Rob King back on, and I'm actually going to ask you both the same thing. We have a lot of folks that are registered that may not be familiar with Bloomington, Indiana. We know that it's one of Indiana's great treasures. Rob, why don't you go first and give us your thoughts on Bloomington, and then Doug, you do likewise.
Well, again, thanks for having me back on here. I can't say enough good about Bloomington. Love Bloomington. It's our hub in South Central Indiana. Excuse me. A lot of definite employment opportunities. Again, I encourage anyone to check out your local Work One office. Again, it just costs you your time to see if there's anything or any kind of training program we might be able to help you with. I know Doug answered the question about what if I have certain skills or I'm just looking to train in any kind of job. Well, definitely check out your Work One, because in addition to the jobs at Baxter International, we might be able to look at other jobs that are in demand here in the region and maybe help you get you on the path to that. I just want to thank everybody for attending the job fair today. And I hope you enjoyed it and got a lot of good information out of it. And if you got any questions for me, I'll be on here for a few more minutes. So thank you, Bob.
Hey, Doug, Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah, so I guess I would start by saying, great opportunity to work here at Baxter. And the fact that there's a plant like this here in Bloomington, Indiana, is even more fantastic, because I think people enjoy working here, but one of the great benefits is also living in Bloomington and being able to work here, because Bloomington just has so much to offer. It's a diverse community. Small town feel, college town, great place to raise a family. Like I said, diverse community. There is something for everyone here. Just on the edge of southern Indiana, where the scenery gets very pretty, lots of state parks, lakes, no shortage of things to do in this area. So it really couldn't be a better place to live from my standpoint.
Okay, well, hey, thanks. Again, that's Doug Reinhardt with Baxter International. Great presentation today. I'm getting some things coming in. Great presentation, very informative. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, to get things closed today, thanks for everyone for attending. You'll be getting a copy of this presentation tomorrow about this time. And some of the questions we did not get to, Doug and his team can follow back up, as they now have your contact information. So with that, to close today's program, I'm going to turn it back to Rob King.
Well, again, thanks everybody for attending today. And again, I encourage you to check out your local Work One. Like I mentioned, there's it's the best kept secret in South Central Indiana, the state, really. There's a lot of good services that we provide. You can talk directly one-on-one with a career coach, career counselor, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be there to help you and help get you employed. So thank you for attending the job fair today. Everybody take care and remain safe, and we hope to see you soon at the Work Ones and go Hoosiers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.